See if you can hear me and see me. Just throw out a hello and let me know if you're coming from YouTube or Facebook or where you are. And if you're coming from Facebook, make sure that you use your name when you make a comment so I know who you are, because some of the Facebook groups, again, there's a limitation of privacy, so I won't know who you are if you just make a post. So just use your first name or something. So hello and welcome to 2022. Yes, I'm finally back. It's been a long month. My family got sick in December, and then obviously with all the holidays and things, everything was really busy. So Stanlin is here. My Logify is here. How you doing? Mike Rudolph is here. He says, how's it going? You still in the snowed in? We're not snowed in. Mike is from New York. So we are actually doing pretty good. We're actually, I think, going to get to 20 degrees today. It's been like minus 40, below zero, wind chill, that sort of thing here in North Dakota, and we're finally getting out of this. So Tom is here from Norway. How you doing? Mad Dog is here. Jeff is here. How you doing, Jeff? Carl is here from Alabama. Nice to have you here again, Carl. Hector is here. John is here from rainy Seattle. Ronald is here. Stefan is here. We have obviously just a ton of people already here. Happy New Year to everybody. I hope your holidays were great, and that's why I wanted to go live and just chat with you this morning to talk a little bit about that. In the Guitar Zoom group, I went live last Monday. I do a live thing every month for members of the Guitar Zoom community, and I had just a ton of people that were telling me about the new stuff that they got for Christmas, for the holidays. So that's something that prompted me to talk about this today, is how to set some realistic goals for 2022 and, enjoy yourself a little bit. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Hey, Jamie is here. Ryan is here. Freddie is here. Jason is here. Little Abner's Clubhouse, Chris from Ohio, is here. Let's see here. R. Lawrence is here. Iced Flame is here. Blessings to you. Happy New Year to you. David is here. Greg is here. So we just have a ton of people. Jason from Germany is here. So again, thank you for everybody for being here. Happy New Year to you. And let's go ahead and get started. So I don't want to waste a bunch of your time. So what we want to do today is just talk about your role for 2022. You know, this crazy thing here, this guitar, it's such a point of elation, yet a point of frustration, right, in what it is. And so what I want to do is just talk a little bit about the role of the guitar in your world and how we can do something beneficial for ourselves in 2022. So what I wanted to do is just start off by talking to you a little bit about the overwhelming visualization of the guitar that we see, in magazines and social media. Certainly for me growing up, I had this thought in my brain, and I'm not saying that any of this is right or wrong. I'm just telling you my opinion on things. When I was a kid, I got my guitar. I started learning how to play. I grew up in I started playing in the 80s, in the early 80s. So the role models that I had growing up were people like Randy Rhoads and, Richie Blackmore and Ace Frehley and all these people that were there when I was a little kid. When I got my guitar, then I was dealing with people like Joe Satriani and Steve Vai and Tony McAlpine and, all these kind of players. And so I'm telling you this to see if you might be able to relate to this a little bit. When I was a kid learning how to play, the expectations of playing the guitar were so high. Like, in my mind, I was like, man, there's no way I'm ever going to be that good. And I got to practice until, I'm that good before I ever get into a band, because I'm never going to be good enough. And this is what I see a lot when it comes to the way people perceive guitar, which is why I wanted to talk about this. It's on my phone, so I'm going to keep my phone up. I had unrealistic expectations. I was setting goals, and again, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you shouldn't set your goals as high as you want. You can do whatever you want. But what I want to talk about today is setting realistic goals so you're actually making accomplishments that make you feel good and keep you playing, as opposed to, well, next year I'm going to be good enough. Next year, the year after that, 2025 is my year, right? And so what I want to do is just talk to you a little bit about what the role of guitar is that I see, things that I love, okay? Now, there's the primary guitar role, which is the Joe Satriani or the Steve Vais of the world, right? All that sort of thing, where the guitar is, in their music, it's the primary element, right? So for us to get to a goal like that, we've got to study guitar constantly, we've got to practice constantly, and make the guitar the center focus of our songwriting. When we write music, it isn't about lyrics, it isn't about singing, it's about the guitar. That's the central focus. So that's level number one. But please keep in mind that there are other levels to this, right? Level number two would be riff-based music. Think about things like, AC/DC or Dream Theater or, different kinds of things like that where the guitar is serving a very, very, very prominent role in the music, but it's not the only role. Like there's other instruments in there that are equally as important. Now, again, I'm not saying that to make an argument of whether, this band that you like or whatever, the vocalist is more important, or that's not my point. My point is it relies on everybody to make it a cohesive element, okay? And so think about that too, is you might want to consider thinking about the guitar in 2022 as not just, it's got to be to the nth degree. Maybe it does, and that's great. But maybe it doesn't. Maybe the guitar becomes part of something. You start searching out some players to start jamming with and writing some things. And of course, the beauty of 2022 is we've got all of this availability of being online. We don't just have to have friends that are in our same neighborhood or something like that, which is great. Obviously, being in person is always a really powerful thing. But there are other ways of being able to approach this, and we're going to get to that in just a little bit. The third thing is what I'll call band-based, okay? Band-based. You think of something like maybe Fleetwood Mac, right, is a prime example. I was listening to the radio yesterday, and I was thinking about Fleetwood Mac, or maybe even something like, Bad Company. And again, these are probably terrible examples, but what I'm saying is sometimes the songs can be led by guitar, but oftentimes the songs are led by maybe the keyboard or a drum beat or something like that. And the guitar, I was thinking about like old time rock and roll, like a classic Bob Seger song, where the song is a classic, but yet when we listen to it, what we're not hearing is just guitar dominating that song. It's not. There's a lot of piano, there's a lot of horns and things like that in that song, and there is some guitar in there. But it's a band-based idea. So now the guitar is playing an equal role with all of these other instruments in some capacity, right? Not every song or something like that. I'm not saying that Fleetwood Mac has less guitar than whatever. I'm just saying, think about these ideas of the guitar being the primary role of what it is, which is what we do often as guitar players. But there is a secondary role, which is writing music that maybe the guitar is still prominent, but it's not all that it is, right? Again, AC/DC, you have a singer and all these other things going on. The rhythm guitar of Malcolm is equally as important as the lead guitar playing of Angus or something like that. And then you get into band-based stuff where the guitar is part of the situation. And then the last one I'll give you is singer-songwriter. And I think of this because my oldest daughter, who is now 21 years old, she grew up in kind of this singer-songwriter era where you had Ed Sheeran and different people like that. And she was very heavily influenced by that because she's an amazing singer, better than I would ever hope to be. And she didn't view guitar the same way I viewed guitar. Growing up when I did, guitar was Steve Vai and Joe Satriani and, again, Tony McAlpine, all that kind of stuff. She didn't look at it that way. Now, that doesn't make guitar any more or less valuable to the outcome of what we're doing. It's just a different perspective. So, you might be a wonderful singer and you're learning how to play guitar and you're thinking, okay, I want to achieve this level, but between now and there, maybe what you'll do is some of these other things I'm going to talk about here, which is focusing on learning how to do some things right now, not next year or the year after that or the year after that. And so let's get into that next, and then I'll get to some of these comments, okay? So what I want you to think about is there's a book out there called Ready, Aim, or Ready, Aim, Fire, instead of Ready, Fire, Aim. Ready, Fire, Aim. Yeah, Ready, Aim, Fire. It's Ready, Fire, Aim. And the point I want to make with that book is understanding, not from a business perspective, but from a personal perspective, sometimes what we do is we set ourselves up for failure because we're so concerned with everything being perfect before we ever fire. right? We before we ever execute something, we want it to be absolutely perfect. And so what happens is we're just kind of wasting our life away waiting for this ideal thing, right? This ideal moment or this ideal achievement that we're going to get to that may never happen, that may be unrealistic. And again, I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just telling you that you could be making achievements next week or next month, this year in 2022, that don't have to be perfect. That's the problem with social media and being on social media and people watching you all the time, is that you're always concerned, like, should I go live right now talking to you? Have I rehearsed everything I'm going to say? I haven't rehearsed anything other than writing down a few things on my phone. I just want to talk to you, and it may be helpful to you, and you may not find any help in it at all, right? But the point is I can either do it or not do it, right? I can be scared that I'm not going to say the right thing, or I'm not going to connect to you in the right way, and then you're never going to want to watch me anymore. And I can't live my life like that. I don't wake up every day thinking about life like that. My life is, life is too short for that stuff. So Ready, Fire, Aim is just a really cool way of thinking about setting some realistic goals that may not be perfect, but they get you somewhere. So let's think about that. So what are some realistic goals for Jeff and Lisa out there in Massachusetts, and Danny and Mike and Duke and Andy and Bob P. from Virginia and Brian and everybody else that's out there right now? Well, one thing that you can do is you can start making some videos or recording some audio of your playing. Now, it doesn't have to reach the public at all. You could just make some videos of you playing to enjoy what it is that you're doing, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. You might record some jams of yours or some songs that you've been writing in whatever capacity, and you're not perfect on your recording, and you don't have all the plugins that you wish you had, and your ability of singing or playing guitar isn't exactly what you want, but at least you're in there making something happen. You think of like the Beatles documentary that just came out, if anybody has seen that. It's all happening in real time. They're now, again, they're the Beatles, so there's that. But do they wake up every day, or did they wake up every day going, well, I just need to be better at whatever before I'm ever gonna? No, you just kind of do it, right? And the more you do it, the better you get at whatever it is that you're doing. So with the world that we live in now, of being able to easily record ourselves, whether it's video or audio, I would suggest that you start setting some deadlines for yourself. Like, I love deadlines, even if they're just deadlines in your world that don't necessarily, affect whoever in some other country that you don't even know. Setting a deadline for yourself of, I'm going to learn this song, or I'm going to learn this riff, or I'm going to learn this lick or something like that by Saturday. And maybe it's not perfect. Maybe I don't learn all the parts. Maybe I don't learn everything perfectly. But I'm going to set a deadline for myself to do it. Or I'm going to record myself playing a video. I'm going to make a video of myself in 2 weeks. Or, like in the Guitar Zoom community on Facebook, we have this this coffee house thing every Friday. So every Friday, people post videos of things that they've been working on, songs that they've been writing, songs they've been learning, riffs they've been playing, licks that they're learning, whatever it might be. And we at Guitar Zoom try as hard as we can to keep that community as positive as possible, because it's not about who's better than who. Like, once you start that whole game, everybody around you, it becomes very negative and very destructive. And so it isn't about that. This isn't a contest between you and I. This is a contest between me and myself, right? It's a contest between who I am today and who I want to be tomorrow or next week, right? That's the contest. If it's against me and you, neither one of us is going to win. It's just going to wind up being an ugly looking thing. And my life I don't live in that world. That doesn't do me any good. And I certainly don't promote that to anybody else. So setting up some realistic goals for you. I'm going to tell you a real quick story. I just got done teaching a class locally here where I live. And one of the gentlemen in my class goes to the same church I do. And he said, I'm going to set a realistic goal. Next fall, I'm going to play in church. And I was like, this is perfect. Well, over Christmas, he wound up coming up and playing a song with us, one song, but he got up and played. So all of a sudden, his goal went from August to 2 weeks later, right? And he played. Now, I hope he had a good time. It doesn't matter whether he was perfect. It's a ready, fire, aim. He got up and he played. And I hope it was a wonderful experience for him, because it will continue to motivate him to want to do more and do better and whatever. And again, if we can keep that motivation on a positive level, it doesn't mean that playing guitar is always positive. It doesn't mean life is always positive. Sometimes things are very frustrating, and sometimes we have to break through those walls to get to the next level. All I'm saying is, what I see a lot in the decades that I've been teaching is that there's a lot of people out there that set up walls constantly. Like they're always subconsciously setting up a wall to break through to another wall because they just don't want to deal with the reality of whatever that reality is. Playing with another human being, playing on stage, writing with a friend, whatever, because it might not be good enough. Well, what is good enough, right? So that's my point to all of this, is just getting you all to understand that I want you to start thinking about the role of the instrument itself for 2022. Maybe it doesn't have to be a Steve Vai role. Maybe it can be a singer-songwriter role, or a simple song that you're writing, or a whatever it might be. Maybe it's getting together with some people. Maybe it's meeting new friends online in a positive community. Maybe it's not in person, which is always, in my opinion, always a really great experience for everybody, is actually being able to get together and make some music together. But, nowadays, with everything going on, who knows if that's possible, right? But at least you could get with some like-minded people online and, encourage each other. That's kind of the point. If you're in a community, social community online somewhere where it's not that, maybe it's time to think about getting out of that and find a better group to be in. Because it's just tough, man. I mean, keeping the trolls away and keeping all these people that just want to fight because it makes them feel better about themselves is not always easy. Like in our GuitarZoom community, I don't have a problem with kicking these people out of the group. It isn't about how many people are in there. I could care less if it's a high number or not. What matters is everybody's enjoying what it is they're doing and supporting each other in whatever capacity. Because at the end of the day, you don't die with the competitor, right? You go away yourself. So be proud of what you're doing and the world that you're making and the accomplishments that you have, and keep working on making those better. But don't get caught in all the other crap. So if that kind of makes sense, that's what I wanted to talk about. So making deadlines, right? Joining a band or creating a band or getting together with friends or whatever. Maybe it's just a song that you're learning, right? Maybe it's some licks or some theory that you're learning or something you want to accomplish about your fretboard. But what I'm saying is, don't just spend 2022 developing your fretboard or developing your technique. Try and kind of move that into something that could be thought of as a real accomplishment, like writing a song or learning a song or getting together with some people and playing a song or whatever it might be. Use that in a number of different ways to benefit yourself, okay? So let's see here. Eleanor from Norway is here. Michael is here. Michael Buncher. Klaus is here from Germany. Joey is here from Buffalo, New York. I can't pronounce that, but from South Africa, thank you so much for being here. Dave is here from Dallas. So again, everybody here, just be thinking about this. It might be something as simple as joining a local church and playing in that, or getting together on a Saturday afternoon with some friends or relatives or something like that and just playing, whatever it might be. But my point is set up some deadlines, set up some realistic goals and some deadlines for yourself, and don't just keep playing this game of, well, someday. Find it. Here's a really easy way to kind of think of it. I've always thought about people's goals and the things that they're learning on the guitar itself is like bubbles, right? Or clouds, okay, out here in the sky. And the problem is if we're always taking those clouds and putting them too high, or learning, these things that we're learning are separated too far away. This cloud is way too far away from this cloud. The problem is none of this stuff becomes cohesive. None of it really comes together. It just all kind of floats out here in the sky. And you probably know what I'm talking about because it happens a lot when we're learning things. And what's really great is if we can take those things and we can bring them down a little bit so they're closer to us, and we can even bring them closer to each other, they can start making some connections. Like learning this idea, this cage system or whatever it is, and this scale. And all of a sudden you start seeing how there's a correlation happening. And that could be a goal in itself, is not just new information, but how can I pull these pieces together to start making them work alongside each other on the fretboard, right? Or maybe it's a theoretical idea. You're learning something in theory, but not just learning it as theory, but how to apply it on something that's realistic to the fretboard. Because again, if it's just theoretical concepts that are floating around out there in space, I'm not saying that that's wrong, and I'm not saying that's bad. What I'm saying is, how do you take those things and make it something that comes together that all of a sudden you go, Eureka, this makes sense to me. I get it, right? Now I understand how I'm going to use this in my playing or in my writing or whatever it might be, whether it's, guitar proprietary or whether it's song or singer-songwriter or band or whatever, like I was talking about earlier. So anyway, hopefully those things help you a little bit to kind of prepare yourself. And what I would love for you to do is please, wherever you are, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, whatever, start posting a comment of some of the realistic goals. I would love to read these this afternoon as I'm working on some other things of what are some things that you'd like to do. And finally, I want to say this. If you are interested in making some videos and posting them, somewhere publicly, because that's a really great thing for you to do to keep, staying engaged. But it can be terrifying too, because, you get some jerk out there that starts saying negative things about you or your video or whatever, which we all have to deal with. What I want you to understand is, like on YouTube, one of the greatest things you can do is turn off the comments. Okay, you can turn off the comments and then you don't have to deal with it, okay? Or maybe you just keep it unlisted and you only share it with those people that you want to share it with. That way it's not public for everybody. On Facebook or something like that, we have to have a little more control and a little more tact on where we're posting these things. Because if you're in an awful group to begin with and they're being really negative to you, again, is that the group that you should be in? Maybe there's a better group or better community out there for you where you can post those things. Because I know I hear it all the time where people are like, I really want to post a video like on that Friday thing I was talking about in the Guitar Zoom community. I really want to post, but I'm scared. Well, what do we need to do to get over that fear, right? Because if it's perfection, you're never going to get there. If it's fear of what somebody's going to say to you, there's a couple things. Number one, you gotta be careful with that, because you can't let everybody else's comments keep you from becoming who you want to be. But in the same respect, you also have to be in a community where people are understanding what you're trying to do. Now, that doesn't mean, like I would never belong to a community and post 35 videos a day. Like, obviously that's, save it for something where that's why I like Fridays for what we do, is that's the day to set aside to post something, to post your progress, to post what you're working on. And then that way on Fridays, if you don't want to watch videos, that's probably the day not to be on, right? But something like that is really nice. So let's see here. Let me get what Scott is here. Happy holidays there, Scott. It's nice to hear from you. I'm going to try and go back here, get a couple things here. So hello from Tennessee. Lee is here. Thank you so much for being here. J.A. is here. Robert is here. Arno is here. Mark is here. Sandip is here. Audrey is here. Hey, Audrey. Very nice to see you. Lynn is here. Jory is here. So just a ton of people. Tom Robbins is here. So everybody, please, let's start this off right. Let's start the new year off right. But please give me some comments below this, wherever you're watching this, and let me know what you're going to try and do, some goals you're going to make for yourself, some deadlines you're going to make for yourself, and let's see this through, okay? See if you can start posting some things. So, and find positive communities to be a part of, all right? So everybody, take care, stay positive, have a wonderful week, and I'll talk to you again very soon.